He's trying to see if they can find some magic here. Like it is going to be an attempt to either rush secret or wrap around in towards A, but so far, not so good, Squid. It's Dennis getting just free reign, isn't it, towards this upper side right now. No one really is fighting back at him. I don't think he's 36 HP. Finally left to push back, and now you have Snatchy and Spitty in position to hold them back as well. So a good setup here from Sprout. Lots of damage done. This has not been that great of a situation for the Wisla side. Now they're going to try wrap in towards A. That's where the P250 can start to strike. Takes down Dennis with a quick headshot and opens up the site. That's huge for Minio as well. Finding Fafa means no vent shenanigans. Leaving Snatchy and Spitty 2 versus 4.
And despite there being a kit for this CT side, it should be one that Wisla can lock down pretty easily. Let's see if these USPSs can actually pitch through. Spitty from main already being spotted. That's a little bit of information giving away, and it almost looks like Sprite are just voyaging for exits here, making sure Wisla don't save the Kevlar perhaps. I usually, on a pistol round, like to see a CT side actually go for the clutch, to be perfectly honest. There's at least a slight opportunity, and you're not really giving away all too much. I guess Snatchy, he does survive with no Kevlar, but a couple of flashes here and there. This is the opportunity for Wisla to actually roll this scoreline back into contention. I guess they could get this 9-9 score if Sprite actually give this away with the force buy. Snatchy already with the scout in hand. He's not a stranger to this particular weapon. We see him use and utilize it pretty much most maps. A lot of success as well. Ooh.
That's a solid start. Very clean headshot on towards Spitty. What are we seeing? Now also not quite connecting. Dennis can do some work here with the SMG though, tucked in towards he steps in secret. He waits patiently for the push, but peaks a little too soon. Those AKs ready and waiting. And it becomes yet another easy headshot for this T side. As that scout really looking redundant right now, to be honest. Yet to land a single shot. It's looking quite simple for the Wisla side.
They should realistically secure not just 8 but 9 rounds, an even Steven scoreline for this T side. That's not good by any means, but it's definitely better than the 6-9 they were at just a few moments ago. And considering Wisla have actually taken both pistols here, just shows the disparity we're seeing on this server. Dicker and Faven probably just looking to do some economical damage. Best case scenario is to steal away one of these AK-47s. I can't imagine with quite an uptight defense that Wisla are really going to give all too much away. There's an opportunity that they can actually trade onto Minio, but he bails, backtracks. Not really much of an opportunity for this CZ75 to do all too much without Wisla making a mistake.
Yeah, if anything, he's just looking to get some damage now, isn't he? Trying to find some extra value here. It might even consider taking that Kevlar forward as well. That is something to consider. Having the full Kevlar even helmet on his back and the CZ as well. There is a little bit of value to be said in him carrying that forward.
Absolutely. I don't think Sprite are under too much pressure at this point. If they lose a gun round or two, then there is an opportunity that they start feeling the heat. Let's see what Wisla can actually bring to these gun rounds. Not here in the 18th, considering this will be a fairly wholesome eco. Team Sprite, as I said, 9-9, almost guaranteed. You can never count out a CT side, especially on Nuke, where those stacks are very viable, especially onto the A-bomb site. But Sprite really do need to rely on Wisla making a mistake here. Walking into 4 or 5 members, getting clambered away by those pistols, maybe giving away a rifle early on. And that is actually going to happen. Speedy, quick shots with the USPSs, but there's the containment policy. No AK-47 to be found for Sprite. They now have to just fall back with the pistols once again as it gets traded up.
Nice attempt from Hades there to put that Krieg to use, just trying to use that scope to see if he could find some early picks here on this cross towards Secret. Love these deep smokes as well, rather than the more traditional water smokes that come through. It really allows this Krieg to do the work when those peaks come through. Also avoids any pistols rushing through, I think, and catching you by surprise. So a nice little anti-eco setup here from Wisla, actually.
They've definitely done their homework. And considering those standard smokes are pretty inconsistent, to say the least, a lot of the time they're fairly hard to set up. You have to kind of line it up with the cloud and throw it. A lot of the time, Flakes, it leaves a big fat gap that the CTs can pretty much use to their advantage. Yeah, there's pretty much no hope of that happening when you throw the more aggro smokes right into the chamber of Mini. Does leave Heaven much more open, and I'd like to see them go back to more standard smokes when Nachi actually picks up the AWP. I don't want to see him just sniping right over the top, shooting fish in a barrel. These have been fairly successful rounds for Wisla, all things considered. I think that over the last 2 rounds, Sprout have only managed to take 1 kill in total. Not really anything to brag about here on the CT side, but now we'll see the rifles come into full force. Snatchy back with the AWP. Guess we'll see 4 automatic rifles as well on the rest of this CT side. And now let's see what Wisla actually bring to the table. They've yet to be challenged on this T side, but this might be a change of pace.
This is not what we're really waiting for, isn't it? It's what we get to see what Sprout are actually going to be made of. Is it going to be an impeccable CT defense, or are they going to fall with the first hurdle? After all, not having the greatest of starts with a pistol, but this is that opportunity for them to prove themselves. Actually taking the fight to Wisla here, they spotted that they are very reliant on this outside portion of the map, using it oftentimes to get into Secret. So we can see counter smokes coming through from Sprout, and most importantly, counter aggression as well. Spitty gets up in their face, forces the first pick, and from there we see the flashes come through and allow them to retreat. This is smart tactical counter-strike, and Spitty does, I think, overstay his welcome a little bit. He does get the kill, so it works out, albeit being traded, but perhaps a little too long on the angle there. Was given the flash after all to get away from things and reposition. But still, Sprout, they've come out ahead. They're in a 4v3 here. They're going to be feeling good about this one.
Down to the 50-second mark. And this scoped rifle that we don't often see in 2020. Going to be holding down the line. Timing not really working out there. And I don't know if Wisla actually had the information. Instead, just trades 1-to-1 once again. Snatchy misses the shot. Uncharacteristically so. But this rotate looks beautiful. I don't think they're going to be expecting Faven just burrowed into this B bomb site. Finds both of the headshots. And that's up to 10 for Sprout. Yeah, beautiful stuff from Faven there. Bailing Sprout out of a lot of trouble on that CT side. And just sitting away. You saw Wisla, they didn't even bother to check the angle. He had no idea that he was down there. He actually shut the squeaky door behind him on his trail down to B, which is clever. Means that Wisla probably aren't going to go checking. I think, right, we've got all of the kills. Let's now get this bomb down. Force up the 2 versus 2 after plants. Doesn't work out just like that.
Interesting for me now, though, Squid, is that Sprout find the success there of a great little counterplay against Wisla, using outside to their advantage. That's not something they can just recycle on their CT side. They're going to have to try and change it up a little bit here. So, curious to see what that will really look like. That's a rough AWP shot to miss, kind of really trying to find that little headshot there. It's a tough one to land, it has to be said, but also one that would have been pretty handy for Wisla to find early on, just playing up from... I'd love to call it Marshmallow, to be honest, but more
I do as well. Everybody just absolutely hammers Marshmallow. People don't like it.
You know what's not so ideal, though, Squid? Minio walking through the boxes into the arms of Spitty. Spiro does secure the trade, though, catching them by surprise as he's deeper into this outside section of the map than they originally anticipated.
Oh, Hades.
Not having the greatest of times with the AWP, is he?
No, absolutely not. Sprout aren't making it easy for him, just challenging him with, well, fairly difficult shots. It feels like the rotates for Sprout are absolutely flawless, and, well, there's another whiff. Snatchy instantly takes him. There's the AWP for him as well. He can even drop an M4. I guess the economy isn't building up as of this point for Sprout. You see them stuck, most of their CT side, below this $1,000 mark. In fact, everybody as of the reinvestment sitting down in the doldrums as far as the cash is concerned. And Wisla, their money's not looking too good either. Hades deprived of that AWP one further time, a couple of MAC 10s, maybe a bit of speed here from Wisla. Oh, bad smokes.
Dennis going to try and use that gap, isn't he? But I don't think it's just big enough.
Ooh.
How does Snatchy find that shot? Oh, Observer, I would love to have seen that. That is a shot of a lifetime to find. I think just through the smoke there on the cross.
I really do wonder.
Just find infuriating, I think, on the T side, because it's completely untradeable.
Yeah, there's no way to get away from that one. I wonder if Ponchek maybe went for a weird jump, got spotted, Snatchy traces him through. You'll often see Snatchy trying to find these very fast, flicky, quick scopes. And maybe that was another one. I'd have loved to see it, but it does feel like the CT side is establishing some control. They're once again finding these opening pickups. Forced into the open by the Molotov, and Dennis does loads and loads of damage. That should instantly end the round. Sticker, he actually has support in the vents as well. A bit of a crossfire thrown through. Not even one frag found from Hades once again. That's 12 for Sprout, and they're already on the home straight of this best of one.
Interesting time for a tactical pause, actually. Probably a good time to really try and slow down that pace. Obviously, the second tack used in this game, Sprout sneaking one in the first half as well. So it'll be a 30-second break here for Wisla Cows. They try and understand, where's it all gone wrong? Unfortunately for them, though, this is not going to be something they can immediately enact going forward in this one. So they're going to have to sit and wait on this eco and employ whatever tactical decisions they make in the next round, round 23. The result is we should be looking at 13-9, like you said, and that's pretty dangerous territory, I think, to be in if you're Wisla.
Well, yeah, this is certainly time to shine. Maybe not in this 22nd, but getting rifles out in the next for Wisla. There's no way they can go for any sort of force buy here. Pretty much would just sacrifice the whole of this best of one. And this is where Sprout can start to assert some control, gain that bank. It's a much-needed, assertive round for the Germans. Not just German, of course. Bit of a mixed bag. Dicker should be able to very easily just mow these away. He's on 11 HP, 3 quick kills, and well, there's the support from the AWP as the clearance. Up to 13, that was to be expected, but only 1 frag found from Wisla. As I said before, they needed an assertive, dominant round, not losing more than just the 1 player there. And the reinvestment's going to be very minimal from Sprout here in the 23rd. Yeah,
they're really being allowed to build up money, which is going to be key here for them keeping their CT side alive. That said, I'm looking towards Wisla, and really, I find myself looking at Hades. He is the highest fragger on this T side, but I feel like we need more from him almost on this T side as well. Yeah. He did great early on in the first half, I think, to really find value, but with Yorp in the second half, just from the couple of rounds we've seen it so far, it's not been the greatest of situations. So I'm really hoping here that we can start to see him find some value with it, because it's a big investment after all.
Yeah, it always stings a little bit as well when you're the highest fragger on the whole server and we're criticizing him just because of a couple of missed shots. And well, there it is again, unable to open up. That AWP already down the drain, and Wisla all falling apart at the seams on this T side. I must say, it is very legitimate criticism as well. A couple of the very difficult shots that we've seen him whiff. He's missed quite a few. They might not be the easiest shots in CS, but if you're going to win, especially on this T side of Nuke, you've got to be nailing them. For Sprite, it was all about those opening kills, especially towards the A bomb site. We saw Snatchy having a lot of effectiveness, just playing within the squeaky door, just doing lots and lots of heavy lifting. And this time, it feels like Wisla aren't finding the same quantity or quality of entry frags.
That really is the problem, isn't it? Just unable to get those picks, and unfortunately for him, like you say, we kind of rag on him despite him being the key player, because it is just a couple of those opening jewels on the T side where he's unable to connect. But I think that highlights a big problem. They're relying on Hades right now to open up those rounds. Where's the rest of the team? Where are those riflers coming in and creating those opportunities? Doesn't seem to be there. Now at 14-9, Wisla, they decide, you know what, boys, let's pack it up. I think we're going to have to fully send it here. Really buying down to, in most cases, very minimal money. You have to try and make anything stick at this point. It is really do or die time now.
I've got to say as well, when you take the pistols out of the equation, Wisla, apart from those pistol rounds and the follow-ups, I think they've only taken 3 rounds then on their T side, on their CT side even. And this doesn't look like they're going to add to the tally this time, with Faven just mowing them away, leaving Hades once again, the man with the plan, in a 1 versus 5. And realistically, Flakes, this could have been a 16-3, 16-4 with a performance that Sprite have brought to the table. Yeah, with the exception of those pistol rounds, it has been pretty flawless.
Yeah, especially in that first half, I think we just can't knock Sprout at all there for finding so much value on that T side early on. That's really where they won this game. Obviously, finishing it off on the second half as well has been huge, but I just think it's been made so much easier for them by the first half performance.
Doesn't look like there's much chance in this one for Hades. Maybe the best case scenario is to save this AK-47. I guess if he dies, he'll be able to pick up an AK in the next. But seems like he wants to go in for this one. Maybe they've thrown the game away already, Flakes. There's another opener. I guess he could grab hold of this bomb and dive down to the B bomb site. I don't know if Sprout will let him get away with that one, and Snatchy certainly won't. 15-9. Felt like Sprite have been on the home straight for quite some time here. 1 out of 6 will finish this map off.
Like that potential of a Sprout best of 3 against North starts to take shape. Obviously, we'll have a second best of 1 immediately following from this game, and that will wrap up our best of 1s for Group D. It's a pretty brutal format, to be honest, isn't it, Squid? Starting with those best of 1s, they can really go either way. It is so hit and miss.
Yeah, totally. Especially when you allow a team like Sprout on a map like Nuke. We would probably characterize it as their home map. And realistically, I think that Wisla have maybe made a little bit of a mistake by not banning this one out. Obviously, they play it a fair bit as well, feeling nice and confident, but that confidence is slightly misplaced. This time they're going to make a dive onto the A bomb site. They're still favored to hold up the line. Fairly even trading, and this auto sniper hasn't exposed itself as of this point. There's the no-scope. 90-night to Jedka as Snatchy finishes things off. That's a brutal way to finish things. Yep.
Really was a dominant performance from Sprout. If anything, I'd go as far to say I don't think the scoreline accurately reflects just how dominant this was, Squid.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think this could have been a 16-3, 16-4. I think that Sprite could have put together one of those 20-round games once again. And maybe Nuke was a bit of a mistake here. The bracket now starting to take shape. We've got another best of 1 coming up for you next. It's North versus Saw. And as you said, that opening winners match best of 3 between Sprite and North is finally all coming to fruition. The evil plan coming together, Flakes.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one will play out, if that best of three will come through. I think that's going to be the best of three of the group, to be honest. So
Yep.
it really will come down to what is that next best of one going to look like. That's where we're heading, of course. And, well, I'm going to ask you now, Sweet, before we throw to a break, before we even start breaking it down, give me your immediate prediction. You've got 10 seconds. What is your prediction going to be for the next map?
I think North 16-9 once again. We've seen one already. I'm going to double down. I think we're going to see 16-9s all day, Flakes.
Absolutely sending with those predictions. With that said, folks, that is us wrapped up for our first best of one of the day. We're going to be heading to our second best of one very, very shortly. We'll be back with you with that map in just a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere.
Nice shot. Lock and load. Wow, very good. Let me show you how it is done. Yeah, no. Damn! That was one of the best nickel fights I've been to.
Фильм Кристофера Нолана. Режиссера фильмов «Темный рыцарь», «Начало» и «Интерстеллар». «Довод» уже в кинотеатрах.
Мстители. Общий.
Припозднилась.
Начнем сначала.
Мстители Марвел уже здесь.
プレイステーション
Welcome back, everybody. Once again, it's your daily dose of the Eden Arena Malta vibes. We're here with the Week 10 Group D matchups. It's those initial matchups where we see all of the best of ones come into full force. Already, Sprite have taken down Wisla Krakow. They've booked their spot in that opening best of 3 matchup against either North or Saw. Another best of 1 to come, Flakes. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what this Portuguese side can do up against the likes of North. As we said right from the get-go, we think this is going to be a North game to lose. They're set to take this down. You said 16-9. I'd say 16-5. I think this is really going to be a more one-sided affair. But that's where we're looking to Saw. We're looking to this Portuguese side to say, show us what you can do. They have had some good results after all, taking down the likes of Tricked in a best of 5. Not often you see those nowadays. But also taking the likes of Secret and Alternate Attacks as well. So not a bad team by a long shot. I just think North are going to absolutely outclass them, especially when you're looking at a map like Vertigo.
Yeah, I also have to give my kind of stock, my faith to the behemoths on the side of North. They're just packed full of experience, ranked 27th in the world, apparently. And they've just got, well, such a star-studded roster, the likes of which we don't really see in these sort of tier 2 tournaments. And we'd probably be expecting North not just to win this best of 1, but also take that winners bracket best of 3 as well. And the playoffs are probably where they'll start to meet their challenges. I think for this specific matchup, we're going to Vertigo to get things started. It's always difficult in a best of 1, you know, that you don't have your own map pick to fall back on. Vertigo is actually a map that North are actually fairly confident on. A recent 16-9 against NIP. A win against Movistar Riders as well, who always seem to play their opponents very close. But here against Saw, I'm probably expecting a very similar result, to be perfectly honest. Also wins against Singularity and Hellraisers thrown into the mix. Vertigo is not by any means North's best map or standout map. That CT side is sometimes a little bit of an issue for them and for many other teams out there. But here against Saw, I just think they have the firepower to take this one over the top.
Definitely. And you mentioned something really interesting about the current ranking of North, obviously being 27th in the world. But just think back for a second at the history of this team. This is a team that have really gone through a bit of an emotional roller coaster through the kind of turmoil of Counter-Strike, especially Global Offensive, haven't they? I mean, they were at one point ranked 3 in the world for just over 5 weeks. To give you an idea of what this core were really able to accomplish, that's the likes, obviously, of MSL. You've also then got AZ, Cajun B as well. I mean, these guys are some, you know, what some would call household names back in the day. Really some of the best players in the world. And, well, I'm fortunate to say how times have changed. Obviously, a team right now trying to kind of find their form, find their way back in within 2020. But it's not been the smoothest of rides for them, has it?
No, it absolutely hasn't. You were talking about some of these household names. Cajun B, of course, making his name on the old Astralis roster back in the day under the Dignitas brand name, was playing with this Device Dupree combination. They were taking maybe not world championships, but definitely getting very close. Cajun B is no stranger to a big semi-final, a big audience. He's not going to get the big audience playing from his bedroom here today. Nevertheless, North, I do think they have been slightly underwhelming since their inception. We saw the whole big brand behind them, obviously just having FC Copenhagen right behind the roster. Originally, back in the day, Flakes, the whole standout point was, right, these guys are going to be playing from a stadium. They're going to get some of the biggest paychecks in the whole of the scene. And they definitely have been raking it in over the last couple of years, but they haven't been putting up the results to stand by those paychecks, perhaps. Here in 2020, they are playing some of these smaller online tournaments as well. So we're, of course, seeing them in the likes of ESL Pro League, some of these really big tier 1 standout tournaments where they have had limited results, albeit this is their time to flex, their time to kind of shine. Making it through in a playoffs like this is absolutely just pivotal. They need to do it. They don't want to be like the laughing stock of the Danish scene by any means. And as we said before, they've got the building blocks to be a really star-studded roster.
Exactly. This really should be a Sprout versus North group, to be honest, shouldn't it? For Sprout, they're going to be looking at this thinking easy money, to be honest. This is going to be a North side they feel confident they can take down. So that's what makes this group just that little bit exciting. And I think that's the best of three that I am hyped for today. With that said, we have to look at this best of one first. We have to see if the Portuguese side of Saw will be able to bring any competition to the server today. So we're going to start things off with a cheeky knife round over on Vertigo.
I love it. I do like a good knife round. Of course, it decides the sides. Here on Vertigo, it shouldn't matter too much. A lot of the time, you might even prefer that terrorist half. I'd be interested to see what Saw do go for, since they have just won it. Let's see, do they start on this T-side flakes? How confident do they feel against the Danes?
Very big question for them, isn't it?
They're taking their time. They're building the suspense. Drum roll, please. Yeah, no. It looks like that they've gone to the CT side.
There we go. It's actually going to be a swap from them. So starting on the CT side, North, meanwhile, going to be over on that T side.
Okay, interesting stuff. We obviously get started with the pistol, of course. Roman's going to pick up the defuse kit, couple of flashes. You see those loot bet odds before we get into the action. North firm favorites in this one. Certainly expecting them to be able to take this best of one on a map that they're fairly comfortable and confident on.
On their T side though, if they're going to take the first duel up against Sadodo. Going to butcher some pronunciations here, that's for sure. Delmo next in line here as the advance continues up on towards this site. Vertigo, I think, well, name a more iconic duo, Vertigo and Ramp. It really is just the storyline of this map, isn't it? Complete ramp abuse. And it kind of goes both sites as well. Both sites have those kind of key ramp entryways. One's a stairwell, one's literally a bunch of wooden boarding, but it's all still the same. You have to push up into the site. Here's where we see all these key fights come through. As North just lick the stamp and send it through the smoke. Cajun B showing us a bit of classic class there as they just mow their way through the CT side. North making that look simple.
Well, that was dominant and decimating. Saw absolutely had no idea that that was on the game plan and the agenda for North. Right through that smoke, getting up close and personal, using those Glocks, yeah, nice and near to find all of those headshots, and very easily done. Saw now going for the force buy in this second. You see Stad not going to be picking up as much of an investment, of course, wanting that AWP out early, perhaps in round number 4 here. Just a Deagle with no body armor for him, whereas his teammates, it's all of the Deegs, Flakes. Not one Deeg, not 2, but 5 Deegs.
Yeah, they're really hoping to see if they can grab a headshot or 2 here. This defense, and Vertigo is a great map for it. There are lots of angles you can use to your advantage here on the pushes. Well, you see just that, just there to get the double kill. Metro just start to trade things back as he reaches for more. MSL sneaks in to try and grab the bomb, and from there it will be, I would imagine, a quick North retreat over to the other side of the map.
This is certainly where North need to go to plan B. That obviously didn't work out just there. 1-0 wanting to keep the scoreline rolling. And there is a fairly null and void defense over towards this A bomb site. So the AK-47s still should be able to do the heavy lifting. Of course, Stad's going to get the initial information with that Deagle. Can he find a shot? That's the big question mark here. Wanting to negotiate his way over and above this smoke. And North might actually just walk into it. Gabe wants another frag before he gets started. Doubles things through. There goes the C4 down on this A bomb site. And back onto the safety of that ramp where they can clean away the rest of these pistols. No more damage for Saw. Arky's just going to fall away with his Deagle investment. Of course, he's got the Kevlar behind him. the only saving grace. He doesn't want to just pointlessly throw away this investment. And considering there is an AK up for grabs on this A-bomb site, or this B-bomb site, I should say, he can fall down into the stairs, allow North onto this second round, and use this single rifle, drop the deagle to perhaps Roman just. And then they've got 2 purchases for the price of 1.
Not all bad at all, but that said, 2 kills with a deagle, you're finding great value there. The problem is by not rotating and having any defense over on that A site, once those rifles get in position, that bomb goes down, it is very easy for them to pull back and just play the distance game where those rifles can pick you down very easily. So can't help but feel like Saw had an opportunity there to really do some more damage, especially given the double kill that was found early on in the round.
I think they were too scared about being faked and rotated out from North, expecting the stubborn Danish side to just come hurtling onto the B-bomb site, use that safety, maybe not in numbers, but in weaponry, to just clamber over the top and find those picks. This time, Flakes, they do have a bit of a stack over towards A, but without the rifles to use and utilize, leaving, well, Aki has actually joined the mix here. All 5 players to meet North. This could get messy. Gade has no idea that he's about to peek into a corner with 5 players at the ready. These AKs just chewing the pistols up and away. The AK on Saw getting nothing done. That's 3-0 to North. Maybe what we would have expected, considering that was a fairly full eco. But this is the round that really matters. The AWP come through for Stad. 4 lots of M4A4s as well. A fairly full buy here for the CTs.
I think the most important thing about the full buy here for me is actually going to be the utility of the CT side. What can they do to delay North's aggressive tendencies? Because right now, North's T side has basically been built off the premise of them just rushing through, forcing frags, and really just taking angels. Just seeing it here again, I mean, look at this. They are literally holding W and chasing down Nitrous here. And it works. It actually works. Point blank, shots in the face. Didn't even get a chance to react. Roman next in line to fall as well. This is a bloodbath. And there's no utility to slow them down. That's what I mean. Where's the Molotovs? Where are the smokes, the flashes? There's nothing there to really deny North from just making these aggressive rush plays. And that's what's going to haunt this Source side. Now we're looking at Stad trying to survive with an AWP against 5 players. And unfortunately, it's just not happened to be.
And you can see the mindset of North. MSL there had the opportunity to pick up the AWP. He doesn't want it. They want the fast run and gun style for this T side, needing to keep things at quite a heavy pace, catch Saw off guard. You could see that Mutris there over by mid was completely outmaneuvered. He gets flashed, instantaneously wants to fall back, and North chases him away for that opening frag. Nice, easy, simple stuff from the Danes, able to find their 4th. That's the opening gun round down the toilet for Saw. And now what do they do with a pretty null and void buy? I guess they pick up a couple of deagles, maybe a set of Kevlar here and there for the CT defense. I want to see them keep alive as much economy as possible to go for full sets of utility in the upcoming 6th. And I guess they'll be able to do exactly that. Remember, it's max loss bonus as of this point, Flakes. So they can pretty much pick up as much as they want. We'll see Staddy will be on, I guess, over the $6,000 mark going into the next. Everybody else lingering around the $5,000 mark. That's if they don't take a couple of kills right here, which is definitely a possibility with the pistols in armor. This is pretty relentless pace, though, from North. Straight up ramp. They might not be running and gunning this time, but pressuring these smokes. As they dissipate, Roman needs to throw one more down. That's pretty much the smokes gone for the A-site defense. Aki might have one more in hand, but, well, he's a million miles away, just holding upon mid. And North are just knocking on the door of this A-bomb site. Let me in.
Or maybe catch anyone off there. The answer so far is nope, not today. This is the thing, though. It's just a case now of when the North decided to go again, right? We've seen it all day long so far. They finally make their push. That's where those rifles just charge in and have the all-out brawl. It's pretty scrappy, but in the end, it's still a North round typically. Just again with a double 1-deags, though. That changes things now. It puts Gade in a 1v2 and no longer in the land of comfort. 30 seconds to work with. He has choices to make on how he wants to approach this, and it looks like he's going to take the fight up against Just here, and that becomes an easy duel for him, just catching him off guard. As we go back to the 1v1, Arky. This is Gade. Spots him. Damage done. 44 HP remains. Repeat comes through, and Gade makes the 1v2 stick. The Brawlers of North right now, the Danish side, they clatter through this Portuguese team, going 5-0 so far on their T side of Vertigo.
That was such a big opportunity for Saw. They had the full stack in full effect, and North just walking right into the double deagles at every account. Still able to take it over the top with the 1 versus 2. Gade just isolating those pair of CTs right there. Not playing the safety and numbers advantage. You can't help but think that if that AK just reverses back into the A bomb site and they play just that angle both together, considering they were both on that A site, gets incredibly messy, and somehow Gade's able to come out on top in a round that Saw definitely had their chances in. Scary. These smokes being placed incredibly early. North still up towards the top of ramp. This is the classic fight here on Vertigo. The big question mark is how aggressive do you realistically want to get on that CT side? Sometimes, especially with the double AWP setup, you can afford to allow one of those snipers to go rummaging for that opening. But Stad playing a very back and passive angle. They want to force North into the triple conversion once again. Yes, they've got Roman up close and personal, but North are playing anti-flash right now. A flashbang right over the top is going to do absolutely nothing. And without anybody peeking off the back of that, it's almost wasted utility.
He's going to take a swing as well, get punished by Roman, who's on an absolute tear right now. Staff finds get another kill on Lecro. It's starting to feel like something a little bit more put together from the Source side right now. Only Cajun B and Gade remain. It's a 2v5. That's not ideal, Squid. That's not the situation you want to be seeing. Cajun B just gets away as well as he's tapping down Stab. Thankfully, it will be a kill found at the end, and in fact he finds both, but without Stab there stepping up and hitting a few supreme shots with the AWP, we're potentially looking at another North round there, a clutch for Gade. It's a little bit of an odd one.
And considering that was a 5 versus 2, I saw doing a really bad job at containing those North members, just allowing just pressure through the middle of the map. And I guess North are going to go to different options here, probably not going to contest ramp here. I guess maybe they do. I don't think it's... I think it's actually pretty difficult to shake the confidence of North, especially in a series like this. I think Saw have to take 4 or 5 in a row to really force North into different lines. And with Stad hitting seemingly every single shot, finally falls apart on the third. And that gives North an open door back into the A bomb site. I don't know if they will go for it, considering there is a double defense still posted. The option is outwards on the table for Cajun B to actually figure out what the defense looks like over towards B. And North can go back to secondary options, considering they have a whole minute on the board.
Well, the other thing is, it's so nice on Vertigo how quickly you can on your T side go from A to B. It's a very quick rotation. So they have full flexibility here to hit the B site. It doesn't really seem like it's sticking. They should go back towards A right now. That's why they have their forces split here. And if anything, that little fake play has just baited Just out. All his attention now is completely gone. The cross to the site is coming through, and now he's left with an AWP trying to make an impossible angle work. I have to say, credit to what I believe was actually easy from the Cajun B, on the other side of the site. That was really nice to see.
And now Arky, this is a pretty impossible scenario. Easy, it's just 1 bullet required to take him away and secure 6 on the board. And North are looking very convincing here on this T side. We usually expect the terrorist forces to maybe take 8 rounds, 9 if you're feeling really hot on a map like Vertigo, but 6-1 is a very swift start. Remember, if you're sat there at home, maybe having a boring day, you can Go over to Hellcase right now. Use those little coupon codes on your screen for a little refill bonus. It's Malta V15. I'm just about learning it. After 10 weeks of tournaments, I've been calling it Malta AV15, but it's not, Flakes. It's not.
Get Malta AV from.
I don't know. I was convinced that production were just messing with me and changing the coupon code every day, but then somebody reminded me that they weren't.
Just can't read, my friend. It's
pretty true.
Unfortunate situation, but well, 6-1. North looking to continue the plow here. Or only able to wield pistols in this one, but at least they are backed by Kevlar, so not an impossible round, but definitely one that is going to be slim pickings. Lecro in to make some noise here, and he's pretty much hoping to put all those rotations through, take all of the fights here himself, and meanwhile his team, they basically get a gift from its B site.
Little bow on top.
Look at the confidence of Lecro. Yeah. He doesn't even take the safe route if he rotates into B. He actually doubles back to stay silent and try and go for even more. That's the confidence of this north side right now. Is a 3v3 on paper, yes, but with that bomb being down, this cannot be a retake here from Saw. I would imagine what they'll do is grab the scraps that they can and save it forward to the next round.
Yeah, there might be another rifle dropped. I'm unsure if it was over towards the B side of things. I can see that they have grabbed hold of one AK-47. That was from Lecro. I guess to add insult to injury there, he was literally with 7 bullets in the barrel, just gunning in for even more. I do like that the Deagle tries to take the fight and steal another AK away, considering Saw can go for a buy here in this 9th. This is 7-1 right now. North, they're starting to look really ferocious to get things started in this best of 1. That's the second tactical pause that we've seen from Saw. Not really running out. You get 4 in a map like this. But chewing through half of them nice and early on, obviously showing that they're under pressure in this opening matchup.
What can you do here in a best of 1 like this? We're at 7-1 already. I mean, what really is the game plan?
You can win rounds. You can start hitting shots. I'm not sure. It's quite difficult, isn't it, really?
That's the tough
You're
thing.
playing against North.
I have to give credit to Stad. He has been hitting everything with that orb. Doesn't really add up to much, does it, unfortunately?
And as a result, Flakes, they've taken Stad off of the AWP. I don't know if that's the change-up that we were looking for.
Yeah, that's not quite what I was aiming for. Yeah, no, you've taken your most impactful player. Squid, I'm not sure about that one. Not sure about that one. I don't know if that's frustration from Stan saying, just give me a rifle, I'll get in their faces and I'll get it done. Because he was the aggressor there. I'm not sure. That's a really odd decision. Stad was a beast with the orb.
It's basically the equivalent of tying Usain Bolt's legs together before he does the 100 meters and saying, right, have a go at it now.
I'm really surprised by that, but let's see if Arky can show us what he's made of here as Lecro takes a bit of a dogfight against Muturis, neither of which will secure the kill in the end. Like it is going to be just sort of ready and waiting for North to make this crunch towards this A site, seemingly very aware. That is going to be a decision. Muturis takes the swing. It is immediately executed. It's Gade and Lecro make it look easy. Arky's good for 1, but that will be all. North continue to run forward here. And I have to say, you've completely disarmed the raid boss right now, so I need to see Stad back on that orb. If there's going to be any faith in this CT side, it's just... I'm going to start a petition. Stad for orb 2020.
Well, they've already listened to you. Petition successful. He's back on it.
I have nothing against Arky. I'm sure he's a great person, but Stad was sick with the orb. Let him do the work. He was there. He was landing these shots. So I want to see more of that action, and hopefully now we'll get an opportunity to do just that. Stag going glass cannon, of course, just a smoke and a flashbang to his name as well.
I love your response as well, just like an easy breakup. I'm sure that you're a lovely guy. I don't want to
It's
give
not
him
you,
the
it's just
AWP.
me.
It's the Bachelor, the whole Rose action.
Oh, that is disgusting as well. I don't know who that was, but someone fell off the stairs and just was trying to shoot him, so he didn't catch the first player. His crosshair followed him as he fell off the stairs.
I wonder if that is a bait and switch play, considering that wooden plank is a very common angle for the CT side first member to be posted within. If you do have a double B defense, you're almost always going to be playing somebody aggressive, or the other passive. And considering Stadzort was a million miles away, North might even double back into the B bomb site. Roman trying to get aggressive to find any preliminary information. Wants to go for this peek on AZ. He's already been spotted. And there goes the B site, perhaps. Saki, he's here just in time. They both drop. And another 1 versus 2, this time for Mutris. I really can't see this one happening, considering the team playing coordination has been flawless for North. They don't even need to plant that bomb flakes. Just AZ taking peek after peek. 4 quick kills. He's up to 17 right now, just topping the server.
Yeah, I mean, it just there's nothing left to really say. AZ's being a beast. It's Lecro stepping up as well, creating opportunities for his team time and time again here with these fake plays and these entry frags. North are they're just running through Saw right now. They are making this one look easy. 9-1, T side where to go. Say no more.
Easy stuff. Definitely setting up the storyline for that best of 3 later today versus Sprite. Let's see. Once again, back into their fan favorite, this A-bomb site. The AK-47's going to work once again. We talked about the firepower disparity earlier on Nuke, but this looks even more one-sided. 9-1, possibly even double digits here for the Danes. A very convincing performance against the scrappy buy from Saw. Puts North significantly ahead. They have 10 times the number of rounds Saw has right now. Big stuff.
Yeah, I think the million-dollar question now becomes just how much can North do here? How many rounds are they going to be able to get? Is this going to be a 14-1, 13-2? Kind of where do we draw the line here for North? That's now what I'm trying to figure out, because we haven't really seen any sign of responses. Stab trying to go for a bit of a creative AWP peak, but unfortunately he doesn't land.
Well, here come the AKs one more time. A nice stack once again. And Stad does have that AWP. He's playing in the back lines right now. Needs to be hyper effective in these last 4 rounds. If Sora even going to scramble together an acceptable CT side. Yes, they've got all the building blocks in place to shut away this push, but do they have the firepower? That's the big question. The utility almost running to an absolute minimum. Only 1 smoke left for the CTs. That's on Arky. I'm sure it'll be thrown fairly soon. They might even decide to release it right here and now. There's an aggressive peek from Roman. Quite a nicely coordinated dive from Saw. Takes 3 for the price of 2. And now North forced onto the back foot.
What we like to see, smokes do come through from North though as they begin to set up effectively what is a retake onto the site here, but Stab wants nothing of it. The smoke not quite just getting his vision. He just peeps on down, takes down 1, now looks for a second as well. Occasion B tries to pull off this 1 versus 3.
There goes that nade. It's going to be null and void. They're not even checking occasion B. That's a big mistake to make. I feel like that was a bit of faulty communication from Saw and gives himself a way back into this one. With 3 seconds left, he goes for another fake plant. With Stad rushing away, there's 0 chance occasion B can win the round. I'd have loved to see him try and plant the bomb there, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword. If he plants it, I guess he's getting rushed all the way down and away. But one mistake from Saw there definitely gives him a way back into that one. It's just a shame that he's so low on time and can't maneuver his way into a better position. 10-2. Nothing to shout and scream about for Saw thus far. Yes, if they can get themselves onto 5 rounds, then there's perhaps a chance on their T side. But considering what we've seen so far, I think that 5 is quite a stretch for Saw.
Yeah, that's the thing, is 10-5 is possible, yes, mathematically, but actually, when you look at the game, is it possible? Probably not. We've seen North be incredibly strong so far. Yes, Saw has started to step up. They started to find some early success here, but it's only one round with the grand scheme of things. We need to see more from them before I'm going to get up on the pedestal and start cheering their name. Muterus with a great triple kill here, if not potential for more. Finds 4 frags all in all, leaving MSL on 4 HP as well. That could have been an ace play from Muterus. That's what we want to be seeing if a 10-5 is going to happen.
Absolutely. They need more than just Stad stepping up. Yes, he's on 11 frags, and as we open this scoreboard once again, you can see that most players on this CT side stuck below double digits. Muterus, funnily enough, is still below double digits despite those 4 frags. It just shows the disparity on the scoreboard with, yeah, only Stad putting up any impressive numbers, but still not matching the likes of Lecro and AZ on this terrorist half, and actually North taking a tactical pause. They obviously feel flakes that 10 isn't good enough. They want a couple more before this one's done and dusted, knowing that this is a fairly terrorist-sided map as well. Are you feeling like 10 is a tiny bit light? Or maybe somebody wanted to grab a glass of water. You never know.
Only time will tell, I suppose. I still feel like North 12-3 here is still going to be the goal for them. They just want to get this one done now. Avoid any more rounds slipping through. Obviously, you can't help with the fact that Muterus has just basically got what was going to be a quad kill. Now, maybe we'll see some Deagle shenanigans. Who knows?
Yeah, funny. Almost seemed like North were not just winning round after round, but in very dominant fashion. I'm almost surprised to see them ecoing at any point this map. I think perhaps they took the tactical timeout to discuss, do we just want to force into this one and try and run and gun the issue, with Lecro finding that opening shot. That's Roman eliminated. And now the defense is down to Stad. Yes, he's got this back and passive angle once again, but not many reinforcements, considering Saw quite classically have been playing either 4 or 5 players towards this A-bomb site. This time Muterus just stood away out in the open, waiting for that smoke to dissipate and fade. He does have the supportive factor of that AWP and getting very aggressive right now. Easy to take him out cleanly away, but it's Stad to step up. Yes, that bomb will go down in this site, giving North a little bit of extra cash, and now the Deagles need to pitch through. Cajun B gets aggressive, finally taken away, but these final 3 players don't have 100 HP between them, and surely Saw should take this to a 4th. See what MSL's Deagle can do. That's a lovely one tap. And as the smoke goes down on this A bomb site, it feels like Saw are getting a little bit flustered right now. Yes, the defuse is coming through. Knife is out. They cannot find it before that defuse comes in. That is our 4th, a breath of fresh air for Saw. But how many more can they take?
That is an insane attempt from North, though. Putting in the work with the Deagles. That is what you want to see right there. MSL desperately trying to land a couple more as well. Lines up the first one, because they even peek around the box. That said, not to be today. It will be a 4th in play for the Portuguese side. So moving up here 10-4 now as they look for that fated 5th. So close to finding it as well now. Something we said was impossible. They're now delivering. Easy down to 13 HP. This has been a great stint of life here on this tour side.
That absolutely has. A bit of a recovery, I might add, on this counter-terrorist half. Looking like we might resort back to a 10-5 scoreline. I really don't know if that's good enough, considering North have a fairly decent CT half, and it's that firepower which I think above and beyond what they're able to put together on the CT half is going to push them over the top. 10-4, 10 rounds is more than good enough here. Still the opportunity for number 11 before things get done and dusted. They're just sitting away on ramp. North rinsing and repeating that tactic. I'm surprised that we didn't see them go towards mid a couple more times. It was hyper effective. Maybe just wanting to practice this ramp progression.
It has worked out for them. Not recently, but generally if you look across this entire half, ramp progression has been really the story of the game. But more recently, we have seen the likes of Mutra step up and really crack that aggression, finding those free kills. Necro going to get up and aggressive here this time around, finds not only one, but a chance at a second. Just going to go flying on through, though, runs out of bullets. That's unfortunate for Arky, and I think that is going to be where this one ends. Muterus, though, finds a surprise frag on Necro from behind. That makes it a heads-up one-on-one.
Takes the taps, knows exactly where MSL is playing from, but with, well, the defuse kit has been picked up. Means that there's no time pressure to defuse this bomb. Nicely taking the fifth, and we were talking like 10-5 is almost an impossibility for Saw. And to be honest, after the first 10 to 12 rounds, that looked exactly the case. You'd have maybe even had to get the calculator out to get them to 5. They've done it. Ooh, those odds are not pretty, Flakes. They're not pretty at all.
Yeah, of course, folks, if you do want to take advantage of those odds, you can head on over to loot.bet. Take full advantage of the 6.2 for North right now.
Can't say that I disagree with those odds, to be perfectly honest. Going to be really hard for Saw to claw this scoreline back and away. And as they fall into mid, there is a little bit of a triple stack for North. Yes, they've just got the two players watching and waiting. Gade has joined the party from afar, just isolating things over by the A bomb site. This looks like a really solid read. If AZ even finds one shot and is able to backtrack here, this can all fall apart. There's a quick kill with a Glock. And that makes things a little more complicated for North. Yes, their defense is already in place. And with Arky chipping in for even more damage onto Lekro, this gets a lot more difficult for North. All of the kills coming through. This might be finally a pistol round for Saw, as Gade needs to do it all. A 1 versus 5. Yes, he's got the kit in hand, but this is practically impossible, especially with Stad on the rampage on this A-bomb site. That's a 6th for Saw. 5 in a row.
They really are starting to keep it rolling now, aren't they? This Portuguese side stepping up into this best of 1. 6 in a row, a pistol round as well. Dare I say, we might just have a game on our hands after all.
Well, North going for this force buy here. They'll be forced to eco if they do lose this 17th. That'll allow Saw to get onto 7 rounds and 8 rounds, and that's not really too bad of a scoreline on this T side. If they find a couple of early rifle rounds here, then they can easily claw this scoreline back and away, but they have to deal with these pistols first. And with this mid configuration in full place, it's going to be incredibly difficult for the Galil to be hyper effective, especially with Gade in such a precarious angle. I feel like Mutros is going to be concentrating elsewhere, and North actually dismount. They disband, they're backing off. And that is actually a big mistake. If they stuck around for maybe 5 more seconds there, they probably find both of these opening kills. Instead, the pincer for Saw, I think they have pretty much a full rip around of this B bomb site with Lekro just stood out in the open. This starts to get, really difficult. 1 foot spotted, and Lekro is going to backtrack, but into the waiting arms of these rifles. Easy clearance of the pistols early. And North, I think, just got a little bit unlucky there with the timings.
Not going to work out. I think with that bomb down, that pretty much seals fate as well. I don't really see Cajun B or Gade being able to do too much here. So we want to, I guess they have the Kevlar to save actually, so they can decide to carry that forward to the next round, at least give themselves something to fight with rather than just what will probably be a handful of USPs and whatnot. That said, that does put 7 rounds into play here for this Portuguese side, Squid, and I think really gets them one step closer to actually genuinely competing for this best of one, which is something that I just thought was frankly impossible. This is also where you want to see a pause from North, I think. We want to see attack balls come out sooner rather than later because something's clearly got awry. Their aggressive tendencies have started to fall away. The shots are not starting to land now, and it's just generally that the play style they've opted for in this game is no longer working. So now you need to call attack pause, discuss how you're going to fix that, and then move forward.
Yeah, absolutely so. It's round number 18. It's not too early to reconvene and configure your options once again, especially against this rifle setup where Saw are realistically finding a lot of success. That loss bonus finally does build up to the point where North can actually go for a full investment in the next round. And they don't have a null and void investment in this 18th. A couple of pistols in hand, the double deagle. Nice little cinematic angle to get us started. Let's see if Gade can cause some action here. Saw's timing does seem very good towards the middle of the map, albeit. Not walking into these stacks.
Patient play here from Saw, to be honest. And really, I think it's just a handful of pistol Squid, so they just take it easy. They don't rush things, and it's working out so well for them now. Again, this calculated play up on towards A-bomb goes down as well, and it's very simple.
A fair chunk of damage, but not really too much to rant and rave about. As Gade, he's going to try and chip in for a third, maybe at best case scenario. He steals away an AK-47 sooner or later, right over the top. Does spot out another, but unable to hit the headshots. He's probably going to go up in flames along with his C4, and Roman does take him to task. So 3 AKs retrieved for Saw. Nicely building that bank up at this point. Not really a tremendous amount of damage dealt from North thus far, but this is their opportunity. Rifles finally in hand. MSL, yes, he's got the AWP back in action. The first time that we've actually seen this from North, this map. And going on to the CT side, you do need that sniper rifle presence. We saw that from Stad on their T side. Absolutely viable towards the A-bomb site, especially even towards B if you're peering down that staircase, which is exactly the ploy that MSL is popping in for. Actually do like this setup for North. Lots of mid control, rifles at the ready. It's a beautiful flashbang, and then the response from Cajun B, almost playing an anti-flash position there, knowing that, of course, if AZ does get blinded, he can be the saving grace.
Gade now going to be the next man under pressure here. Tested towards this A site as the push begins to formulate. Stad and Co all lined up. Curious to see what they'll be able to accomplish here as the utility let rip as well as Molotov flashes to follow. Stad is the man to lead the charge. With the smoke down, North can't do a thing here. It's a free plant for the Portuguese side. They're going to have to play out the 5v4 retake. That's what you like to see though. MSL peering down from above with the AWP. Snipes down for another frag, and that leaves a 5-on-3 now. The entire Portuguese side wrap themselves in towards ramp and wait for North to come charging their way.
Dane's taking this one nice and slowly as well. You see Saw just stuck on ramp. Expect the smoke to come through for North, maybe even a wall of smokes to counter this ramp position. The bomb is planted very out in the open, and the coverage is absolutely flawless. 3 for 3 for North to put them onto round number 11. Just that firepower chipping and chiming through. Not scared of letting that bomb tick down to the 10-15 second mark. Diving on that defuse. The smokes were absolutely everywhere. Saw can't get any visual inside. And realistically, if you're sat on ramp as the T side, you don't need to be taking the open peak. Instead, just prevent that bomb from being defused. That puts North in a real sticky spot. It just doesn't come through. You allow MSL's AWP to fire on all cylinders. Those AK-47s on the CT sides now with an open opportunity to rattle you away. And North, they're about, well, they're 5 away from closing away this best of 1.
The other beautiful thing about that play is that for North, you're totally bang on. It's all about stopping them from defusing. That's why they jumped on the bomb. You jumped on the bomb, and then they peeked into you. You got 3 players there shooting down at them, basically saying, look at me, I'm a human distraction. It works out so well. So even taking a few losses still ensures that diffuser is left unscathed.
It's unfortunate. It is like the worst sleight of hand in the whole world. The magician who waves a big towel in front of your face before putting the coin behind your ear. I'm surprised that Saw don't just, gun for that diffuser.
Eleven to 8 now, though. Getting closer to do or die time for this Portuguese side as they're going to make their push towards the B site this time around. And unfortunately for them, there are 4 counter-terrorists here ready and waiting. It's point-blank execution, Squid. This is a disaster of a round. Stad and Just, last 2 men standing, and a singular kill is all that will be found for the terrorist side today as they drop like flies.
Yeah, Cajun B is an absolute turret right there. Should never be able to get away with 3 frags, especially with the flashes just pitching in from above. 12 to 8. And North starting to wake up once again. Look at how blind Cajun B is. Not just once, but twice. Forced into the open by the Molotovs, and nobody can take advantage. Look at Saw just moving into his crosshair one by one by one. The opportunity for a quad kill as well. Just falling at the final hurdle. Nonetheless, it's 12 for North. They've got plenty of money bolstering this economy at this point. Yes, Cajun B engaged are stuck just below the $1,000 mark, but a convincing round here would put them firmly on the home straight once again. And the AWP-AK combination is just doing all of the heavy lifting on ramp. There's just no chance for these pistols here. Only 1 and 2 kills found, so some acceptable damage dealt. But it's still North onto 13. They've got all of the money to play with. And the ball's in their court.
This is tough, though, when you look at the scoreline. Yes, they might have all the money in the world now to make a purchase happen, but at the end of the day, it's still 13 to 8, Squid. You're still getting dangerously close to being able to get this game done for North right now.
As soon as push has come to shove and we've got into the rifle round opportunities, North have looked very convincing. And you know what, Flakes? My 16 to 9 prediction might be coming true. Where's the crystal ball?
That's the first time.
Where did I put it?
A Squid prediction coming true in 2020. Who would have thought it?
This never happens. I actually can't remember the last prediction I got right. I'm usually
this
just
reminds me of
teams.
my horse betting adventures at the weekend. Thought I'd bet on the races. My first 3 bets. The first horse didn't even get to the start of the race. Didn't want to do it. Second
Didn't even
horse
get to the start of the race.
didn't even get to the start. The second horse, the jockey fell off in the first 10 seconds. I thought, you know what? It's about as sums up my luck, doesn't it? It really does. Interest though. He's starting to show a bit of force. Cajun B easy. Will chime back in to make it a 2v3 though, so making it possible ultimately for North to retake here as they continue to rattle away through the smoke. So we see a reposition come through as Roman gets aggressive. You might actually just spot Cajun B easy soon. That smoke will fade. It's going to be just a matter of time. If he falls here, that's going to be very unfortunate. So needs to be careful. It's actually, they're going to go for the boost. I actually kind of like that. Really work out for Roman, unfortunately. That's where the push really starts to come through now. Stab. Good for 1. And Just will clean things up in the end. It all works out. Portuguese side progress. That 13-9 comes on around.
There should certainly be another buy for North, I guess. Cajun B and AZ, I guess Gade as well, stuck without a significant economy. And there's the tactical timeout that you were asking for earlier. I feel like North usually use these tacks to decipher what the buy is going to look like. I guess this will be the full investment. MSL has more than enough money for his trusty AWP. Could even drop away a rifle if needed. Instead, I think this is going to be a 3 rifle, 2 SMG setup. Soon to tell. Well, there it is. The AWP. The 2 M4A4s along with a pair of MP9s.
See how this works. Cool's North. I think they had to buy there. When you've got the bank of MSL and Electro and your players that are around 3k, you could definitely make something like this work. Obviously, a bunch of SMGs will prompt aggression, I imagine. No surprise, this is North watching after all. Look at the SMGs go, holding mouse 1. They are just going to completely charge them down, and the damage has been done, hasn't it? Look at them go. Gade finally falls, but they stand on 5 HP. Arky on 21 HP. Mutris is the only man with more than 50 health in the server right now for this T side. That has to be a disaster of a start here. Oh, this could hurt as well. You have to be so careful spraying through smokes in that position because the traces are so there's only a small corridor.
It's actually a bit of an awkward one-way smoke on the T side. Where you can just... And Lecro 7 HP to the rear of this A bomb site. Yes, he's got Cajun B as support, but there's another smoke placed. Lecro has a really weird tendency to just keep 3 or 4 bullets in the barrel. This time he's going to get blasted out of action. And as that bomb does go down and away, this is going to be a slightly difficult retake for North. They've got the AWP in play here for MSL. I don't know if he's going to get rid of that or even play with the pistol, considering all 3 of these players are low. But I don't know how much North know here. Do they know that all 3 players have tiny HP? Instead, no, the AWP fails to come through. The M4 needs to get the job done. Instead, the defuse tapped. Bet forced into the open, and Mutris able to find the first, and this is so awkward. Falling away, pistol out, and North, they're going to concede another one. Saw up to 10, and that was a very messy round. Forces North, I think, back into eco territory.
Yeah, I think messy really is the understatement there, to be honest. That was North looking all over the place. A very wishy-washy retake there. And really what it boiled down to was just a lack of direction. They had no game plan of how they were going to go about it. And therefore, you could see they were making a lot of off-the-cuff decisions. And that just doesn't work in Counter-Strike. You need to be able to have a game plan going in and then adapt to that game plan as you're going through. But simply just winging it and make a decision on the fly. Don't get me wrong, if you're a team playing very aggressively against a weaker team, it can work. But a majority of the time, playing with a little bit more of a structure really will pay dividends there. And unfortunately, they completely lack that.
Do you like this boost? It's a bit of a different angle from Cajun B. Usually you would boost up on this left side, and maybe the Molotov will force him out of place. No, it's not enough. Instead, Roman, he is actually checking for this one. Finally spots out ahead, and unable to shoot it off. But here comes the aggression once again from Saw, all the way into A. All 3 frags found, and there are the smokes just to guarantee the round. Minute left, and nothing that North can do.
Fortunate situation here for North. The lack of the money really going to haunt them, I feel. But all they can really do is sit tight and wait for those guns to come back on around, wait for that money to hit their bank, and from there look to close it out. This is a lot closer a game though than what I feel it really should have been, to be honest. Credit to Saw for pushing North right to the line here.
Absolutely, and just shows why those last 4 rounds of their CT side was so impactful. This game would already be over if North had taken this to a 12-3 or 13-2 first half. Saw just about doing enough to make this second side competitive. And doing so with all of the rifles. We haven't really seen Stad utilizing that AWP on the T side whatsoever. He's picked it up quite a few times on the defensive half. And on Vertigo, I feel like that is pretty common, to be perfectly honest. Not really playing with that sniper to aggress. Sometimes you would force an AWP towards the A side of things, but this time just getting the work done with a couple of AK-47s and that retrieved M4A4 for him. Already mid-control, and there's the opening frag. Maybe even a second as Cajun B is forced into a really dodgy angle. Lucky to even trade 1-for-1 there. Bomb goes down again, and North handed a head-scratcher.
I'm not really sure there is much North can actually do here apart from save, to be honest. They just have to immediately prioritize keeping that weaponry, because otherwise they will let the scoreline run out of control. And the problem they've got here, Squid, ultimately is they don't have rounds to play with anymore. This will put Saw to 12 rounds on the board. That's around the difference between these two teams. Cast your mind back to earlier on in this game, and we were talking about the fact that North had 10 times the rounds of Saw. It was 10-1, of course, at that point.
Yeah, what a change of pace. Saw definitely look like they're in control of this best of one. And now let's see if they can come closer to closing this one out. North, again, it's shaky economy. They might just go into this 26th with an AWP and an M4 in hand and not much else. Just a couple of pistols here and there. An opportunity for Saw to close the gap, 13-13. Then on this T side, you've got to say that they've got the advantage on paper. North haven't been playing their best CS. There's an opportunity. Cajun B chips and chimes in. An AK retrieved. And the AWP's able to find a second shot. This is falling apart, Flakes. They're walking into the scope of MSL as he's able to snipe away too. And now Saw back on the back foot as they want to rummage back into the A bomb site.
So I think that really interesting because you do just still have a bunch of pistols in play for the most part. But there's been enough of an advantage forced by MSL where they legitimately could trade their way to success here. They just have to be careful not to give up easy pickings. Don't allow someone like Lekro just to fall like a fly, being swatted out of the air, because at that point you get into clutch territory and it gets a lot more sketchier when, you know, this rifle, for example, has no armor behind it. Cajun B is a glass cannon AK-47, I guess, as it were. So really dangerous round here for North, but one they can make work, providing they position and play this one correctly.
Unfortunately for North, there's still 40 seconds on the clock. That Saw, I think they're going to use every single one of those seconds on the board. And with 30 now left, the smoke does go down. Maybe that will force Cajun B out of position. The utility finally thrown into place, but there's AZ with another snappy headshot. Roman, this clutch just got a lot harder. Wants to scramble to get that bomb down and away, forcing out the peak initially, and only finding 1 kill for his troubles. But Lekro, he salvaged another M4. That bomb will finally not even get planted, and there's the double peak for North. What a heartbreaking round for Saw. This should have been 13-13, still on winning ways, an opportunity to try and close this one out, Flakes. But it's gone the other way. 14-12, North back with a full buy. And maybe a bye-bye. Straight down to the bottom bracket if North can take the next 2.
A lot of that's on MSL as well, isn't it? He really opened up the round there, using the AWP where 2 key weapons carry forward into the round. It shows you what you can do when you're on a round where you only have a rifle and AWP and a bunch of pistols. It can still be won. This nade could be devastating too. We go deep down into the ramp as MSL strikes again. Takes down Stad as Gage gets ever so aggressive, looking for more.
They're not even going to check this angle here.
This is a disaster. Absolute disaster. I think at this point, you know, once MSL secures round 26 for them, From there, it's going to be just a waterfall affair. North of 15. I'd be shocked if we don't see 16 here as well, soon to follow.
That's been a bit of a promising T-side for Sort, all things considered. But considering North now have 3 opportunities at match point, closing this series out, not quite early, but Sort also don't really have a lot of money to work with. We see the double deagle come through, along with a couple of AK-47s on the board. Maybe back to a speedier approach as the flashes and smokes go down on this A-bomb site. Just one incendiary grenade there to halt the aggression. And North can easily get this rotate over the top. Gade, yes, he was just single-handedly holding this A-bomb site, but now he's got reinforcements. MSL and Cajun B are just knocking on the door of this A site, trying to stop Saw from coming in. Should be an easier round, all things considered. Even with a couple of smokes going down in a way. A secondary avenue of approach taken by the AWP. This actually a boost over the top. And it feels like MSL is doing everything on the CT side to try and close this best of one out and away. Don't even know if the C4 can go down. I guess Stad's going to try and tap the numbers in.
He does a really good job, actually, to get that through, to be honest. It does give the Portuguese side a chance to try and make this one stick, but obviously a key firepower disadvantage for them is people that are looking to look at themselves while Blind takes down Just, and from there it all falls to pieces. Roman has a 1 versus 4. He needs to make work. It's not going to happen. North will win out this one 16-12, and ultimately moving forward to our upper bracket best of 3.
I think that's exactly what we expected. We kind of prefaced this day of broadcasting saying that Sprite versus North should be that best of 3 that we see in that winners bracket matchup. Of course, there's one spot in the playoffs up for grabs in that next match. The second will go down to that deciders match where they will be looking to try and take it over the top. Either way, we're going to a very swift break, but don't go very far because we'll be right back after this.
Nice shot. Lock and load. Wow, very good. Let me show you how it is done. Yeah, no. Damn! That was one of the best tickle fights I've been to.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. I'm excited to be here for this stunning best of three. Flakes, you previously called it the matchup of the whole of Group D, here between Sprout and, of course, North, those big Danish behemoths that we saw just edge out a victory against Saw earlier on. Vertigo, both fairly competitive maps at times. I would say that Nuke earlier was probably a little less competitive, to be perfectly honest. Sprite did a great job in that opening best of one. Could have very easily been a 16-3, 16-4, as we previously said. Whereas North, they had a couple more issues on Vertigo. Issues closing it out, a couple of little squabbling blocks on that CT side as well. What do you make of this series? Because we've got a repeat performance from both of these teams. They've played each other quite a bit.
Yeah, they have, but only head-to-head actually playing recently with this core over the past 3 months, twice. And those were best of ones as well, one of which was the Home Sweet Home Cup 1. And then just before that, that was a DreamHack Open Leipzig 2020, which was quite some time ago. That was the pre-COVID era of Counter-Strike, right back in January of this year. And in both times, it was a 16-6 and 16-4, quite comfortable victories for North in the end. And that was on Nuke and Dust 2 as well. I think really, to break down this series, we have to start with the building blocks of what makes a best of three. That's the maps, because looking at the veto here from what I've got on my screen, this is going to get real crazy real quick. I'm hoping we can bring the veto up on the screen for the folks at home as well, so we can go through it. And yeah, there we have it. Vertigo, Dust 2, and Nuke. Why is it going to be wild? Well, let me break it down for you. Sprout have a 0% win rate on Vertigo. North have a 14% win rate on Dust 2.
Oh, that is pretty spicy, to say the least. And then Nuke, which is our third and final map, is turf that Sprout have already proven themselves on, not just today, but over at ESL 1 Cologne in different tournaments alike. It's all about that T side. If we get there, I'm almost favoring Sprout in this series, despite the fact that I don't think that they're massive favorites by any means. I really do think, looking at these maps, that Vertigo is probably fairly firm North territory. We see what Sprite can actually bring to the table in that one. Let's see what their T side looks like. Sometimes that North defensive half looks a little bit shaky at best. Realistically, if it wasn't for MSL Star or Ping there at the end, North would have probably lost that whole best of one in its entirety. Saw just a stumbling block getting over the finish line, maybe with a couple of different factors there. We might have seen a different winners match here.
Yeah, there's definitely potential for it. But at the end of the day, the better team won. And that's, I really think, what we want to see when you think about the group playing out as we would expect. North should have won the game. They made it real difficult for themselves at the end. They were 10-1 up, for God's sake. I mean, really, this was their game to lose. But thankfully, they were able to close that out. So now they just need to reset, basically forget about it. They've got the easy bit done, or what should have been the easy bit, the best of one. No matter what happened, forget about it. Now what matters is this best of three. Get yourself into the playoffs, book yourself that ticket without any faff at all. This is the easy way. Make your job harder by going down to that lower bracket. That's not where they want to be. So for North, for them here, they're looking for the 2-1. I say 2-1 because I just think Dust 2 is probably not feasible. Obviously, I mentioned that 14% win rate. That is over 7 maps, so it's not a bait stat either. It's not like they've not played it. It's just they're not very good at it.
Yeah, that is definitely worrying getting into a series like this, knowing that Nuke is a little bit of an uneven ground as well. Remember, even in these best of threes, we play all 3 knife rounds. So let's say that we go down to Nuke, Sprite even lose that knife there. The T side isn't even that much of a disadvantage for them, supposedly. They were able to take a very star-studded 9 rounds earlier in our first matchup of the day against Wisla Krakow, a team who actually play a fair bit of Nuke themselves. I'm surprised that that even came to fruition in a best of one. I feel like the Poles probably didn't do their homework as much as they should by allowing it to go to that territory. I feel like there were probably a couple of other maps that they would have been more favored on and maybe even able to take the win. But a team who has done their homework is Sprout. They've obviously put in a lot of hard work recently. They've got, when you actually look at the roster, a couple of names that you would have actually seen quite commonly throughout CS history. Snatchy, who I think is probably maybe the star of this team. His AWPing is very fiery and very flary. Sometimes he goes missing. Of course, most notable for the kind of for having an opportunity on Virtus Pro, and maybe that was a little too early in his career. This is a secondary resurgence, being one of the two poles alongside Dicker on this roster, and then you've got the familiar faces. Speedy and Dennis, they've been playing together for years and years. We'd be expecting them to just be those fundamental members of the team, just putting up the 1 to 2 frags here and there, nothing too fiery and nothing too stand out. Originally, a couple of years ago, we thought that Speedy and maybe even Nex were some of the more up-and-coming star players in the German scene. That's gone very quiet as of the 2014, 2015 days. But definitely, I feel like they're starting to find their form a little bit more. They're ranked 18th in the world here on HLTV, for God's sake, after some really good performances at ESL1 Cologne. I want to see if that continues as we go into more and more tournaments. And this is a great opportunity in a best of 3 against some really big names. Cajun B, Lecro, MSO, just from start to finish of North. You're talking about household names, as you branded them earlier.
It's such a tale of Counter-Strike, isn't it, when you really merge these two teams together. It's a combination of household names, like I said, and also up-and-coming talent. I love the fact that you referenced Snatchy there, because he really is a player that's looking to prove himself, isn't he? I think it was too soon with his chance to show himself on that global stage with VP. Now he can really develop himself in a team that I think works for him. And Sprout have been doing a bloody good job on the European stage as well. So he ranked 18 in the world right now. It's really showing.
Yeah, really impressive. And Snatchy is definitely a player to talk about. I think that this team fits his style a lot more than VP otherwise would. The old form Virtus Pro did already have all of the building blocks in place, and he was kind of trying to slot in around that. And I feel like that doesn't fit his style. You need to almost fit around him instead of adjust him, mold him to fit around you. And with that AWP, give him the freedom to step exactly where he wants to tread and be that aggressive, flary, fiery player who can have a lot of effectiveness. We saw earlier on Nuke, he was hitting some tremendous shots right through smokes, over the top, nice flicky shots. He's going to be one of the key members on this T side, especially gunning for those opening picks. Some AWPers, you see them kind of go quiet on the T side. Snatch is not one of those members. He's going to be balls to the wall, going for those openings, and a lot of the time finding quite a bit of success.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'd like to see some of that success, hopefully, within this best of 3. But I mean, let's boil it down to brass tacks here. Let's talk about predictions. I think that's a good place to head to here. Map number 1. What are we thinking, Squid?
Well, I think that we have to put our money on North, I guess. I think it's going to be quite close just because of the firepower of Sprite. I think for Sprite, it comes down to this CT side. Can they put together those 5 or 6 rounds and give them a chance to face the North defense? If they can, then maybe we're looking at a close 16-12, 16-13. If Sprite completely fall apart, maybe if North even lose the knife round and get that T-sided start first, then it could be a little tricky territory for them. I think that's, out of the 3 maps here today, the most unknown quantity of the 3. I think we know what Sprite are bringing to the table when it comes to Dust 2 and Nuke, but the Vertigo, I'm really a bit unsure.
The only thing I think I'd add to that is that for me, Sprout, if they do take Vertigo, it's got to be Dust 2 going their way as well. And it's a 2-0, right? It has to be. So this really could go anywhere, I suppose. I think that's what makes this best of 3 so damn interesting. It's why I was pumped up for it, and it's why it is the match, I think, of the day, really, when you look across the entirety of Malta vibes and what's going on kind of within Counter-Strike today as well. Obviously, the only other match I think worth a watch if you guys are at home looking at HLTV thinking, what can I watch today? There is obviously some big Pro League action as well. I think those are going to present some good games. I think Big versus OG is the first of the day, actually. So that also probably going to be a bit of a banger.
Yeah, I think that we're going into a bit of a golden era of online Counter-Strike, if you can call it that, where a lot of the top teams are all going to be facing each other. We're getting into our 10th week here at the Malta Vibes. Very sadly, Flakes, I don't want get the tissues out. This is the last week of the Malta Vibes.
Such a shame, really, considering the opportunity it's providing teams as well. I love the pricing structure and the kind of concept behind the bootcamp. I think it's really awesome. So I'm hoping we get something like this back again. I think it's a great initiative, of course, by the folks at Eden Esports and our partners, Gaming Malta, Grid, Loopbet, and Hellcase. All a key piece of helping make sure the show can go on. And I think from our side, all we can do is the folks voicing over all the action is hope that we get to say, welcome back to week 11 and week 12 and so on and so on, because it really is just a great structure of an event, it has to be said.
Well, let's get into that action, starting with the knife round, of course. We're on map 1 of Vertigo. I'm actually really excited for this one. For me, this, above all of the other maps in this series, is the most unknown quantity. Let's see what Sprite can actually bring to the table here today, and it all starts with determining what side they're actually going to begin proceedings on.
I love this little setup. Both teams lining up. They get the dug in. It's like kind of watching a match of American football, and then scrum is called. They go at it face first, and Sprout to come out on top. That's a beautiful little knife round.
Yeah, lovely stuff. 1-0. Just that knife. All done and dusted. And Sprout, what are they going to start on? Supposedly the CT side here. So wanting to defend first, which for me will get that question mark out of the way nice and early. If Sprout can pick up maybe 5, 6, 7 rounds, then they definitely have a chance in this first map. If they don't, and this is another North T-sided whitewash, then maybe they can start off 1-0 in this series.
That is the big question, isn't it? All I really want to do now, to be honest with you, Squid, is I want to get into the Counter-Strike. Show me the pistol round. Let's take it away, because this is a best of 3 that needs to be played out. We all want to know what's going to happen, and now we're going to get to see. There's the ticking coming through, which means only one thing. Both teams have readied up, and we're about to dive on in.
Ooh, nice and close odds. Remember, these odds are just for this particular map. So people may be determining that North have a very slim chance of, well, just slim favorites getting into this one. Not necessarily a slim chance. Maybe there's a 55+% chance that they'll take this opening map. But, oh, that's not the best of starts. Nighty night.
Easy. You've had better days there, huh? Not ideal.
Yeah, definitely not the best way to start a series. I'm expecting more Flakes.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting a little more than that. We were pumped for the pistol round. In reality, the most exciting thing of it was AZ jumping off.
Well, what an easy
That's a bit
way to
anticlimactic,
start.
wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a bit of a freebie, isn't it? To be perfectly honest. This is quite the shutdown. I actually think that... Who was it that jumped off the map?
AZ.
Was it AZ? Yeah, I actually think that he was carrying the nades as well. So with him gone, there was no smoke grenade. There was absolutely nothing that they could have done about it. And, well, not get completely clambered. Should be a very clean second round here with the M4 stood out in the open. 3 quick kills. And, well, there's the return and the retort from Cajun. B finding 3. That's a couple of rifles able to be retrieved. Cajun doesn't actually salvage one right there, and Dick is in a really precarious angle. That is the second round secured. Where's the secondary M4? I don't think that Dennis is going to get there in time, so quite a damaging round for the Sprout economy.
An expensive one, and one that will now pay dividends for North here going into round 3. It may be 2-0, but that round, the damage done there makes it, I'd argue, probably 10 times easier for North now to really try and bring this one back and go 2-1, because they're on a full buy versus a pretty scrappy setup of Sprout. You know, we're talking about 2 SMGs, a scout in play. It's not the greatest setup for Sprout here, but if they can make it stick, that would be a disaster for North.
Well, I really do like this angle, and MSL is history. That's a really funky angle there behind those sandbags. It's often difficult to hit those shots, but you do get a little angle just beside the Xbox. And North, yeah, thrown back into a 4 versus 3. They actually have the better buy here, considering the AKs come into full force, pressuring the angle of ramp. That Molotov just goes down to force any lurking Sprout members beside the sandbags. And with Spiddy looking for seconds, let's see what's next on the menu for him. He was quite a tenured player in the German scene. Just looking for that jump up. Anybody trying to get aggressive and force him away, but the smokes are placed perfectly for North. This should be an easy bomb plant to find, even with Dicker spraying through that smoke. He eats it back twice in succession. And there goes the C4 down just to secure this first on the board for North. There's no way I'd expect Sprout to actually save those pair of rifles, considering they don't have a lot of money behind them, and just go for the force buy in the next. Dennis can probably force up with a third rifle, and Snatchy's probably not going to be as lucky. I guess he picks up the Scout for the CT side. What a damaging round.
Honestly, though, it's the expected outcome, isn't it? When you think about how Sprout have got into it with the weaponry they've had, they've actually come off pretty well saving just the 2 rifles here, particularly 2 M4s, because all in all, that was a round that North would be looking pretty comfortable in. Again, it was 2 SMGs and a Scout. The SMGs were unable to accomplish anything at all. The Scout did some good damage, don't get me wrong, but that was about it. So I think Sprout, they actually come up pretty well saving those rifles, because it means ultimately they can get a good buy-up going into here. Yes, they'll have the Scout in play, but aside from that, it should be 4 rifles, and that's going to be a great thing for them, as they can compete still for the 3-1 hit.
Interesting way to get it started. And I'm really eager to see what North decide to do. Last time, of course, in that first series of the day that they played, just that best of 1 against Saw, they headed towards ramp, I think, 13 out of 15 times. This time heading towards mid, and it's only the 1-for-1 trade. Now they have to bait Dennis out of position, and he's unable to find even one. That's the B site eliminated. Easy job to get this bomb down here. And what's the decision-making process for Sprout here? Do they decide to even go for this retake? Pretty sure that they don't. They do have a kit in hand. Maybe the goal is just try and find an opening frag, then isolate off the back of that. I'd say this is a really easy round for North to take right here. They've got all of the after plans already set up. And Sprite have an opportunity to keep 3 rifles in hand, albeit 1 being the Scout. That's not all too bad going into round number 5.
Nice and even, that's for sure. What a map so far. It really has been quite topsy-turvy. I still find myself looking for more from this Scout, though. That's the one thing on Sprout that is always the question mark. I mean, obviously they're kind of forced into it due to their economy, but would love to see if it's really able to achieve much more than it has done so far.
It's actually unfortunate, considering Snatchy is usually really damn good with that particular weapon. Didn't really get much done with it on Nuke. Here on Vertigo early, he's not really finding the shots either. This is his opportunity to step up.
See what the game plan will be here. North playing this one a bit more slow and calculated here, not wanting to force the issue, it seems. They will just slowly but surely set up with some flashes and whatnot towards that mid and B ramp area of the map as they begin their crunch out, just looking to dispatch of these rifles thick and fast, ensure that the pistols are easy frags as well. As so far so good, it has to be said. The weaponry that was in play from Sprout has been completely nullified. I think they have to immediately call a save, to be honest. I don't really see much more potential here for Sprout.
No, me neither. If they give away the pair of M4s right now, they're not going to have tons and tons of money going into round number 6 for all of the utility in play. Yes, that loss bonus is going to be at the $2,900 mark for Sprite going into the next. But without finding even one kill on this T side, it means a fairly, full round for North, not even dropping one man. They go for not the most aggressive hunt of all time, allowing Sprite to keep this double M4 and the Scout in play. Snatchy, of course, cannot afford that AWP, so we won't see it make a re-emergence here in round number 6. And their money's a little bit polarized just because of this. He over-invested in round number 4 and 5, meaning, he just cannot afford this sniper rifle. The big question is, when will he finally be able to get it out? I guess if they lose this one with a couple of saves, then he'll have the AWP in the next, considering $3,250 along with the max loss bonus. Doesn't look too bad. He's really not fighting too much. Those smokes are definitely